What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I got some new news concerning Keith one-time Thurman. Keith Thurman, he is not going to be on any undercard, any headliners. He will not fight anytime this year. And it's unfortunate for Keith, and a lot of people give him a lot of flack for not coming back. A lot of his injuries is not really that severe, so they think that he's just really stalling or whatnot. But what I say to that is, this is my theory on Keith Thurman. I did a video about him, I think, last week or so. But let me give you guys my opinion, or what my theory is what Keith Thurman wants to do. It's simple. Keith Thurman knows that he's beat Danny Garcia and Sean Porter. So in his mind, he's not trying to go after a guy like Spence because there's no guarantee he'll beat Spence, right? But there are fighters that he did always want to fight, and he did call out when he was hungry once upon a time. He used to call out Floyd Mayweather, of course. He was the first guy. And then early last year, he started mentioning Manny Pacquiao, saying, I want to put hands on Manny Pacquiao. So saying that to say this, Keith Thurman had that Amir Khan-ish type of mentality. He wanted to go after one of the icons in the sport of the welterweight division, which was Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. And I think because he did not get those fights, that made him less hungry. So what's going on now in the welterweight division since Manny has joined Al Haymon and signed with Al Haymon? I believe it's one of these situations where I think Keith Thurman is purposely not taking any fights because he wants to see what happens. He knows he has that WBA super belt, right? He has that super title. Okay. And he knows he has that. So I'm thinking he's going to use that as a bargaining tool and pick the winner out of Broner and Pacquiao. More than likely it'll be Pacquiao, so that'll kind of line right on in to how he wanted to play it. Why would you worry about fighting Spence where you can fight the guy you always wanted to fight, which was Manny Pacquiao anyway? He can't get Mayweather. Mayweather's too picky and of who he picks to fight. But he can fight Manny Pacquiao, and I think Manny Pacquiao might fall for the bait. He might not. But I think what they'll both do, since they both have a portion of the WBA, Manny has the WBA regular, and then he has the super. I think what'll happen, he will fight Adrian Broner, more than likely beat Adrian Broner, and then he still has another contract on that date. What other name than Keith Thurman would be good for Pacquiao? You know what I'm saying? So that would still be an interesting fight. I would me looking at it now, it's kind of hard to say because we don't know how good Manny's going to do against Adrian Broner. But I think Keith Thurman is kind of waiting people out. You know what I mean? I think he's indeed trying to avoid those tough fights. He mentioned a rematch with Porter, but I think if he had a choice between Porter and Pacquiao, if he could get the Pacquiao fight, I think he's waiting around for it. You know what I mean? And since again he didn't get the Mayweather fight, he didn't get a Manny fight, I think he just got less hungry. I think it's a combination between him not getting those prime premier fights that he wanted, like Mayweather or Pacquiao, getting married, that took his focus off that, and the injury. So those three components caused Keith Thurman to be less hungry. You know what I mean? The injury, the marriage, and not getting the fights that he primarily wanted. Because again, Earl Spence was a distant memory for Keith Thurman. Earl Spence was that guy that was trying to make a name for himself when Keith Thurman was already there. But Keith Thurman was that guy like Earl Spence 3-4 years ago. So, it's easy to sit at a particular position. You know what I mean? And then you don't get really what you got, but you've got enough. You've unified two belts, the WBA and the WBC at one point. So they stripped him from the WBC, and Porter and Garcia fought for it, of course. But you know what I mean? I don't think that he has a hunger to get any of those belts since he's already had them. You know what I mean? But I think he would want to fight Adrian Broner. I mean, he would want to fight Manny Pacquiao simply for bragging rights. You know, he wants to be that guy to get that torch from Manny Pacquiao, because it's going to be someone like Keith Thurman to put Pacquiao away. But if he does it, I want him to do it in, not like a Jeff Horn, or not like some kind of controversial situation where a lot of people would think that Manny won, and a lot of people think that Keith Thurman won. We want something, definite. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah. So before guys, people start talking about what's going on with Keith Thurman, yada, 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 I have to say that I believe that's my theory on it. That's what he's trying to do. He's trying to wait out the tough fights and see who wins, and then pick a fight like Manny Pacquiao. And I could see him fighting Broner if Broner gets a piece of that title, because that's the belt he would get. If he beats Manny, he would take Manny's WBA regular. And then, of course, Keith Thurman I don't think he would have a problem with fighting Adrian Broner, and that fight would sell too. So that's still a good fight at the end of the day, but I think the bigger fight would be Manny Pacquiao, though. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I think that Keith Thurman is doing. He wants to fight those big names like Amir Khan wanted to do. He wanted Manny and he wanted Mayweather. So, those guys are shooting real high, in other words. So that's what I think Keith Thurman's doing. I think that, he's going to take a tune-up fight, of course, but then the next fight is I believe, going to be the winner out of those guys, Manny Pacquiao and Adrian Broner. But anyway, shout out to a fan of the channel for making the Counterpunch Boxing News mug. It's my official mug, you know what I mean, with my logo on it, which was cool. Shout out to you. And, you guys tell me what you think about this theory of Keith Thurman. Of course, please subscribe, and you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.